It's on. It should be on now. She should be able to see it now.
Oh, good.
Tell her to come over
Tell
here.
her to come to the meeting.
Well, I'm not going to tell her. I'm telling her to read it in the Daily News tomorrow.
Copy and paste.
There's a lot of pressure on Matt there. Nathan.
I like the bugger.
You'd rather be playing trombone.
All right, let's call the special meeting of the Ketchikan City Council to order. Please call the roll.
Coos. There he is. Zingy.
Here.
Flora.
Here.
Kiefer.
Yeah.
Gage.
Here.
Severson.
Here.
Isom.
Here.
Please join me in that pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Communications, we've got the packet on the desk on the comments for the last Department of Transportation. Persons to be heard, we have Dave, and I'm not going to try to say your last name. Come on up.
Wiggleman.
I'd say it
That's
wrong,
no worse
Dave.
than Williams.
Give me your phone number, I'll never forget it, but I can't do names, I apologize.
David Wickleman, 702 South Point Higgins Road, representing Hapalaska Yukon, one of the bus companies. And we've had a chance to review the plans. There's a lot to like here as far as vehicular safety going from 2 lanes to 1 lane, and as far as pedestrian safety. The only concern is traffic backups. And I heard a number of people up here speaking about that already, so it seems like everybody's aware. Currently, traffic does back up around the tunnel, past Dock 3, and potential is to back up more, making it difficult to get off of Dock 3. Port security does help out currently, stopping traffic to get vehicles off of Dock 3, which is greatly appreciated. Left turn lane on the Mission Street. Just out of curiosity, how many cars will be able to fit into that left turn lane? Is there anybody here from?
1, 2, 3, 4. 4.5.
Okay.
Give or take.
Okay. So currently, what happens now is they have trouble sometimes making that turn because there's a lot of pedestrians crossing. So if there's 5 cars, maybe somebody doesn't have enough sense to bypass it, and they're sticking out, and then that backs up traffic because people trying to go straight won't be able to get around them. So issue there, and with Main Street not being able to make a left turn, more people are going to want to turn there. So just a thought. That could probably be mitigated if there's some way to control people crossing Mission Street to allow those people to make turns. Because what happens when the crossing guards stop the people crossing on Front Street, they got all these people crossing, and then they cross Mission Street, and those people aren't able to make left turns. So that can probably be mitigated. I guess the only concern is traffic backups. I do have a couple of specific questions. So Dock Street, with the curbs coming out like that, right now it's 2 lanes. So is that going to stay 2 lanes, or go to 1 lane? Yeah, right there.
I don't know. We'll find out.
Okay. You know what? Once again, if it goes to 1 lane, and it's a little bit tight right now, even with 2 lanes. So if it goes to 1 lane, then there'll be traffic backups heading in there. And, we've dealt with that before. It's not the end of the road. Horse-drawn trolley days, if anybody remembers horse-drawn trolleys, we used to get big traffic backups back there all the time. So we used to deal with that all the time. Another thing I was curious about is Mill Street. It says it between Main and Baden, it's going from 4 to 5 parking spaces. How are we gaining a parking space?
We're losing one on Mill Street.
No, it says we're
4 to 5.
4 to 5. There's a loading zone there, is what I think it is. There's a loading zone right there, and I think they'll probably take it out.
The depressed driveway that used to be a delivery
Yeah.
ramp is
Okay,
no longer
okay.
that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was curious because it looks like with the curbs coming out, you can see where the curb is going through a couple.
Yeah, there's
You
a.
actually get a knockout car out of there, yeah, actually 2
Yeah.
cars. So.
Most people park there now, but it's a loading zone,
Oh, okay.
and it's.
But you're right, you're going to lose space because you're not going to have the cars parking right up to the intersection, which is a good thing to be able to see out now because there's always a truck there and always kind of around it.
Yeah.
So the curbs are actually going to make it easier for the buses to make some of these turns because the curbs are you can kind of see where you're making a left turn from Baden onto Mill Street, where that one car is there that looks like it's parked a little bit illegally. So
This is my car.
you can kind of see it in the yellow. With the curb there, it won't be able to be in the yellow anymore. So
And you'll be able to see them.
Any other questions, Dave?
yeah, just one suggestion. If you look Front Street, there by Tongass Trading, the west side between Tongass Trading and the Eagle heading towards the tunnel. Right now, there's no rope barricade like you have on the rest, and we have people that step out into the street on a regular basis, pedestrians walking along there. It'd be nice. I'll just throw that out there. It'd be nice to get a barricade to help keep the pedestrians on the curb. And that's been ongoing for a while now. Just thought I'd throw that out there. That's all I have. Do you have any questions?
Go ahead.
If there's a bus coming northbound down Mill Street and they want to go back out on the dock, do they take Main Street and then across down Dock Street?
Yes. If you're coming northbound to go to the dock, what they do is they take that offshoot that goes by the museum,
Oh, they go up. Okay.
and they just come straight in from that way to Dock Street, and they just come in around that way. They come to Dock Street because we can't make a left turn onto the dock from
Right.
Front Street.
Right.
Yeah, and the only other way to do it is to just stay on, to go on the mill and to make a left on Baden, go around the backside of the Discovery Center to get to Main Street, and then go across Mill Street on Main Street to Dock Street and make a left.
So when you're coming southbound, what do you do?
If you're coming southbound, you just make a right turn at the light at Dock Street onto the dock.
Well, the bulbs at Main Street, to me, is going to kind of reduce that to a
Yeah,
lane and a half, maybe.
Yeah, that makes a good point. Is Main Street still going to be a two-way street, or is,
That's why I asked that question earlier. Right?
yeah, it would. That's a good point. If that really chokes that off there, it's going to make it really difficult for the buses to go down Main Street because we do a lot of business dropping off at the unloading zone at the Discovery Center. A lot of business with the Lumberjack show where we drop off and pick up there. And when you leave there, it's straight down Main Street to get to the dock. It's really hard to make a left or right turn onto Mill Street at that Main Street intersection. It would be really helpful to make Main Street a one-way street between Mill and Mission,
Going into town.
going towards Dock Street.
Okay, good enough.
Any other questions for Dave? Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
All right, it brings us down to new business comments on the last Department of Transportation Public.
You have more people who want to talk.
Oh, do we have anybody else here that wants to speak to the council today? Thank you. And okay, we're back to new business number 5A, comments on the last Department of Transportation Public Facilities proposed design for Front Mill and 7th Street reconstruction project. Carl, do you want to talk about it?
You have a motion first.
Do we have a motion? Yeah, there we go.
I
We
move
have a
the City
motion.
Council direct staff to file comments with the Department of Transportation and Public Facilities regarding proposed design of the Front Mill and 7th Streets reconstruction project as determined appropriate by the City Council.
Second.
Wait a second. Carl, do you want to start us off?
Mr. Mayor, I think Mr. Wickleman really summarized comments that staff had relative to vehicle bottlenecks and backups as a result of limiting one of the two southbound lanes from the tunnel over the bog. For different reasons at different locations, we see the potential for that happening. I clearly understand the long-term benefit from added sidewalk width, which the state's trying to achieve. But I'm not sure it's going to be balanced out by what you heard today with regard to bus traffic in particular, given what our staff recognizes as clearly defined pedestrian patterns and how that conflicts at Dock and Mission particularly. We did not want to just file comments without at least allowing the larger bus companies to offer their insight and hear what the council might have to say on this and weigh in, because while we're not certain, we think there is the potential for some significant issues to develop if this plan goes forward as proposed, and we wanted to bring it to your attention. And we're here to answer any questions we can.
So their goal is to make sidewalks bigger, cut down traffic lanes, and so we either have bigger sidewalks or we get rid of those and have better traffic, keep our traffic lanes is the main thing I can see. I mean, I don't mind the curb bulbs, but
Mark, Carrick, is there anything you want to add?
I think the traffic's the most important.
Well, I think, good afternoon, Mark Hilson, Public Works Director. I think you hit the nail on the head, Mayor Williams. Really, this is a focus on pedestrian access by the DOT. And the downside of that is it appears to us that there's a sacrifice in vehicular access and through traffic levels of service. In talking to DOT, according to their engineering calculations and their design methodology, they feel that there's little to no impact on vehicular movement through that area. Now, that's not the Public Works Department's take on this. I'm just trying to present the information.
This is a state highway.
Right.
You know, this is the major access point for this entire community. Yeah, it's hard to imagine that they would make that statement. You know, with their experience on the various vehicular challenges that they've had to fight on Tongass Avenue for the past 50 years. I cannot believe that someone who actually had looked at Tongass, who actually has seen, really looked at, and not just looked at a map, or not looked at a...
Has been here.
Been here, would actually make that statement. Because it's in, you know, this... Looking at it now, you can already see this is going to be a problem. This is going to be a problem. This will remain a problem because
It's been a problem.
Because frankly, everyone in the world stands right here. Take a picture of that welcome march. It doesn't get better. It won't get better.
And so having two southbound lanes allows, when somebody does turn on to the docks, it allows somebody to be able to go around and traffic flow to continue.
Especially when we have the guys with the signs. I mean, you already get backed up to that corner when they have two lanes and the guys having a crossing guard going to up Main Street there. I'm shocked. Go ahead, I'll be quiet.
No, it's a good discussion.
We don't know. We just live here.
Yeah, right.
Mark, where are the city or the borough bus stops?
Well, there's one in front of City Hall and directly across the street. Well, not in front of City Hall, just down a little ways. And then one across the street.
And then one by the federal building.
Right, one by the federal building.
Isn't there one right in front of the first there someplace?
Yeah.
Well, Mark, if they,
Well, hold on just a second. Go ahead, Dick.
I was going to say, if they stick those stupid bulbs out there in the middle of the road, and right there at Dock, and I guess it's water going north across from the bar,
how's the bus going to swing in and out of there? Right now, they kind of cut it easy, and what they're doing is they're putting up barriers to everything. And we've put handicap access to every one of those corners, and I haven't heard anybody complain about them. Nobody's complained.
Yeah, so their plans do have curb bulb outs at Dock, and the question earlier was raised: is Main Street and Dock Street going to remain 2 lanes? And as far as the plans go, they show it remaining 2 lanes. One of the things that DOT was keen on in this design was what they call traffic calming. So they were trying to reduce lane widths, which reduce speeds, because it gives you a perception of, that you can't go fast through there because the road is narrow.
So speed bump or two just to make it even more fun, right?
Thankfully, no. No speed bumps.
Well, it's
Traffic calming doesn't calm drivers. It calms the cars, not the drivers.
Well, Carl, hold on a second. So what's the management want to address to the state, and are you going to add anything that we've brought up different?
We're going to comment as you direct us to, just like we did last time around. We looked at this earlier the year, and the council objected to the curb bulb outs as well as the median island over at Baden. The state agreed to remove that island, but they did not relent on the traffic bulb outs. They were quite insistent that they were going to remain. Now we see that they want to reduce one of the 2 southbound lanes. Before we express our concerns about what that could result in, we wanted to make sure the council had the opportunity to do it.
So that's something you'll be addressing. Now, go ahead, Jenny, then Bob.
Did they, are they planning on putting in some kind of crossing lights for the pedestrians? Like even at where you don't have the crossing guards, I've seen it even in Chelan or Washington, in the downtown area, they have these lights that blink, and they have to push a button, so it gives the pedestrian the idea that until they push that button and the light goes off, they have to stop. So I wonder if they did something, because it is state, in those areas so that it would at least so we could turn down Mission without sitting there for eternity.
We have tried in the past to talk to the state about that type of signalized traffic control. We actually had 2 of those systems installed at one point.
But that was in the ground.
Right.
These are actually
Overhead,
Yeah.
in the ground. The state's position is if you want to put them in, you take responsibility for them lifelong, even though it's a state highway. They've been very reluctant to endorse those type of systems in the past. If the council wants us to try,
They don't last.
do that.
even the ones that stand up, that are up in the air don't last. Because to me, it's like it also signals in the winter when you can't see anybody that there's someone in that crosswalk.
We've tried in the past to petition for those, and they have not been very receptive.
Bob?
Yeah, the other thing that we got to concern ourselves with is our normal and routine maintenance. We have crews working there, and they're able to divert traffic into that middle lane and continue on with their work. We have utility vaults down on Mill Street. We, wash the bollard, we repair stuff, we clean, we do all kinds of stuff. And without that center lane, the traffic control is going to be much more difficult.
Good point.
Yeah, I agree, and we will be having hopefully another slip lining project that occurs up near the tunnel, and not having that extra width is going to make that a challenge to keep two-way traffic through there.
The other thing is too with larger vehicles, buses, whatever, when they make that corner swing by the tunnel there, they're taking up, most of the time you see them, they go all the way over into that middle lane and then come drift back to the curb lane. And now you're going to put live traffic right there on that center line because they moved it this way.
Yeah, that's true. To make the turn into the dock.
Well, it's already that way, but they're by moving that you're not going to remove the parking, right? The parking just going to go on the outside of that sidewalk?
Correct.
So you moved everything, how much did they say that narrowed up that?
About 7 feet.
About 7 feet, so that's, you're going to have that potential for a fender bender right there, too, on.
I think the center line striping, the yellow, stays about the same.
I don't know how it could.
But the traffic, but the lane gets narrow. So the car moves, does
So there's
move
no
to the center.
room for error.
Yeah, there is less room for error. You're right.
Now, are we going to make a strong objection to this from the city?
I think we could.
Well, I mean, I think extremely strong.
Yeah.
This is total disaster for us. I say that.
Now, one of the things, though, and Dick brought it up, and other people have too, we're looking at bringing a larger class cruise ship in here, going to put more people onto the streets. And inevitably, this may be what we're going to be looking at, so we got to take that into consideration too. If we do it now with less people, we have longer to get used to it. Not to say that I like it, but we're going to have to make some concessions to handle that many people in the downtown area.
No, I think we're going to have to go a step further. We're going to have to put a limit on the number of people show up in town. If we don't, we're foolish. We can't take 20,000 people in this town at one time.
I don't think we're going to get 20,000.
Well, it's the potential.
So, but what this is basically doing, at least from my perspective, this is the worst intersection. Because people are always going to be standing there, and you're right. You crossing guard them here, then they'll run across there in a big herd, and frankly, you still can't turn in. Now, I know there's been a lot of discussion over the past about should this even be open to traffic.
Right.
And I think as we add more, thousands and more people, it almost can't be with the Welcome March there and Deer Mountain behind it, and you've got this whole area here. So we should be doing less to make this a primary access point and more for there and there. And this goes the exact opposite direction. This takes that one away, puts more emphasis on there, and basically makes this one. And frankly, I don't turn there anymore because you can't.
Right.
You just can't.
Yeah, I go around and up.
Yeah,
The other.
I go over here.
Yeah,
Go over
or
here.
over there.
We should be emphasizing those being the primary access point and not this one. And this plan makes this the primary access point.
Or making the main town just walkable.
Yeah.
Because they just did that in Skagway. didn't they?
Well, and I realize it's gone back and forth. Sometimes the businesses on these sides don't want they want the access. Other times they don't. But the reality is, we're going to have more of these pedestrian walkway areas in town if we're going to have more people, because you got to put them somewhere. So.
Connor?
Yes, Bob.
So, the DOT has just taken into consideration the state highway. I think we have to look at a broader perspective of the state highway in relationship to the downtown area. And I don't know what kind of traffic study you do to make that work and who does that. But because the concerns are what it's going to do to our traffic patterns to the downtown, center town. So I think part of the objection should be the fact that we have to look at it not just as the state highway changes, but what it's going to do to our core part of town.
Well, and maybe looking at, so we have the bypass, and how can we make it more local friendly to use the bypass, and then if people are going downtown to work, access to the various businesses, be it busing or from the parking lots. I mean, I know most people park up on Edmund Street or.
Well, bypass is well used, especially in the morning.
I know I do it. I avoid.
That's the way I go.
So do we let bus traffic up there? Take the congestion out of the downtown? I don't.
That's entirely a council call. That was a council call way back when that
No buses.
was promoted by one particular individual in particular, and you're free to.
Well, it has to be a consideration. I don't know how you would make that traffic pattern work, but it may be a consideration.
But except for a few of them, and Dave's still sitting back there, I don't think the major bus companies have any need for that bypass except in an emergency. It's better off. I think
We're
they're
worried
better
about
off
the ones
down
that are
low.
going to stop up there and take photographs. And
Yeah, the idea
Some
was
do, but
to,
but most of them are not.
My understanding is just sort of towards.
You might,
But we were told
Yeah.
we weren't able to utilize that up there.
yeah.
Even though it's a beautiful view and everything, it was supposed to be for the locals getting around rather than bus traffic, tourists.
But if we threw the two big companies up there, then it's crazy. Smaller ones,
Well, you'd have to open up that parking lot area that's there now to
be
pull
crazy.
off.
We'd have to actually improve the parking lot. And bigger parking lot space.
Even if they have access to the bypass, though, don't the buses end up ultimately downtown anyway?
Yes.
They're still going to end up
Just turning it
right
off.
up there, right? They're just going to be coming in from the opposite direction.
So, Carl, you've heard from the council and staff and people. Are you going to put a letter together and then send it to us to take a look at, or are you just sending something once you?
We stated like comments by Friday, is my understanding.
Okay.
I can try to have something put together that I could hand out Thursday at the budget deliberation session, if that's what you'd like us to do.
Yeah, I'd like to see a copy of it, and then let's get it out ASAP after you see it Thursday.
Yeah.
So our consensus is we object to the removal of the center lane.
Correct.
Are we going to object to most of the bulb outs?
I think what if,
Because we already have crossing guards to take care of that. I don't see them allowing people to spill out into the street. I don't see that as a problem.
Yeah, I guess
Because we have controlled
the
intersections.
one place, and when you come out here and you're going this way,
Yeah.
if there's a car there or a car there, you can't see.
Right.
So I guess the one bulb out I wouldn't have a problem with is probably this one. Just because it gets rid of those two parking spaces and it makes, and less likely.
Because that's the blind spot.
Yeah, it's a blind spot. If there's anything larger than like a subcompact Yugo, either of those spots, you can't see the traffic. So, other than that,
How about the, if we object to the center lane, you're not going to widen the sidewalks.
Yeah.
that's that is a hard one.
I don't think we need to. I mean, at this point in time, I don't think we need to expand it, but eventually down the road. I just think
Yeah, but then it's going to be on our dollar or the state's dollar.
No.
Right.
It's just I don't want to lose the lanes. I mean, I think the lanes are more important than the sidewalk.
But then we're going to be responsible for if those big ships come in, we have no sidewalks.
Well, we can use CPV
Right.
funds.
Are you willing, at least in those dock down blocks, to give up some of the parking, to widen the sidewalks, and keep both lanes?
Widen the sidewalks, not as much, 3 feet instead of 7.
Yeah, exactly. I'm wondering why we you said 7 here.
Yes.
Yeah.
That given what's right here compared to what's other places, that seems like a large.
There's fewer shops there because we've got a real estate building in City Hall.
Yeah. It's 7 and granted, Sir Ketchikan, I spent years working on getting you guys to have wider sidewalks, so I understand that. But 7 feet, that's
Why would you need?
Because they're evening it up with the jog on the bottom.
yeah.
Why
That's
not
still,
try to keep the lane, get rid of the bulb outs, and go 3 feet as a possible
3
compromise?
feet in addition to what's there. I mean, the big problem was the telephone poles, and those are mostly gone now. And you can on almost all those sidewalks do 2 wheelchairs abreast, going different directions. 7 feet seems like a lot.
And they did fix that when you come around the old going on the dock. It's not that steep. They fixed that, so in a chair, it wasn't as bad. It's not as bad as it was when it was that deep cut. And they had that because there was a pole there at one time.
Go ahead, Bob.
So the other thing that'll happen if we shift 100% of the traffic into that one lane, it's going to wear twice as fast because right now we're sharing 2 lanes and it's still wearing out way too quick.
But what if we took out the middle lane and made Mission Street just a walking where you couldn't drive down it? Would that make any difference? And
That's to wear it out twice as much.
Yeah, that's what Dave was talking about. I like that idea.
I do too.
I always have, but I get different sides from different people.
I mean, I like the health food store, but I would
That's why
drive
we have to
around.
that's why we have to do a complete study to see how it's going to impact
Yeah,
us
exactly.
for routing of traffic.
Yeah, I think you're right. Because we are looking, as I'm probably quite not ready to go to what Councilmember Coos said of capping the number of visitors who come to the community, because that doesn't always work either. But we have the realization that what is too much? 12,000 a day, 14, 16. We have the same problem in terms of our dock space. Do we can't keep building indefinitely? Yet we've seen the ships increase by huge amounts in the last 15 or 20 years. Are they going to keep getting bigger? At a certain point, we only have room for one ship. I mean that's the issue. Post Super Mondo Pana Gippy Max or whatever, we can't.
And you're just adding more ships and taking over and eliminating other people who live here's ability to, do.
I don't think we're there yet.
Yeah, we don't want to do that.
No, we aren't. But remember how people laughed when a few decades ago when Little Lawrence said we're going to have 1 million cruise visitors, and people said you're crazy.
Yeah.
Well, guess what?
Yep.
Right, we're crazy.
What about 2 million?
All right, so let's get back to. Go ahead, Carl.
Just a question relative to Councilmember Severson's comments. Do you want us to raise the issue of undertaking that kind of traffic study specifically to this project? My only concern being is that if we push that really hard, they may push this project back from when it's scheduled, and that potentially could risk
The money itself.
The money itself. So I'm a little hesitant about suggesting that they undertake a whole new traffic study, because I think that would risk the project.
Well, thinking about a traffic study, to me, there may be some one-way streets, but we just got to do it right. But that main drag-through there's got to remain open with 3 lanes right in where we're talking about. They cannot shut those middle lanes down in that distance. It's just going to screw the whole works up.
And I think we just got to push hard that we have controlled intersections with crossing guards at the busiest times of the year. I mean, I think that's a major point. If they were uncontrolled, then you could see that spill out and all that other kind of stuff. But we're not having people walking out in the street in front of cars because we have a traffic guard saying stop.
So Carl, put something together, and let's reread it and hash it out again on Thursday.
Your Honor, just to try to summarize for the minutes, tell me what I'm missing here. Object to the removal of the center lanes. Object to the bulb outs because we have crossing guards. Only the bulb outs on the uphill side of Main and the water side of Baden work because of visibility. Widen the sidewalks less rather than the 7 feet proposed. Object to the center lane again because of the maintenance, traffic flow during maintenance, and question the viability of the bulb outs in relation to the buses using Main Street.
Well, we have, excuse me,
Okay, Bob.
we have constriction at the intersections of Dock and Front, and we do it also at Main and Mill. And so it narrows it to the point where it may be a lane and a half coming in and out of there. And buses and cars are trying to use that same time. I think it's too restricted.
Yeah, I can't see preserving those.
Well,
And maybe there's ones on bottoms. That's the crossing guard.
I think that we've expressed our concerns. I'm just curious. I want to see this the letter and how we can look at it on Thursday. We'll send it up on Friday in time.
I had one more thing, just loss of parking.
Oh, loss of parking.
Was a comment.
Just so we get it in by Friday. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
All right. Call the roll.
Coos.
Yes.
Ziggy.
Yeah.
Flora.
Yes.
Kuiper.
Yes.
Gage.
Yeah.
Severson.
Yeah.
Isom.
Yes.
All right, that passes 7-0. That brings us to Mayor and Council comments. Mark?
None, Your Honor.
Dave?
Nope.
Bob?
Nope.
Julie?
Yep.
Jenna Lee?
No.
Judy?
No.
Dick?
We just got to hold tough on this.
Okay. I only have one thing. I was wondering if I had 4 hands. Usually we have where we stop doing parking tickets the first week of before Christmas. I was wondering if we could up that and start that 2 weeks out before Christmas. If anybody, it's just been a thing we've done. The council has approved. Does the council have any objection to that? Starting a week early?
No, it's fine. No.
All right, we'll do that, and I'll instruct Dan to get the information out. I have nothing else. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you, everybody, for taking your time.
Is that for the airport? No parking?